Hey, what's up guys, Gypsy, and we are back here today with week 5 of the APA, and this week we're going to be facing off against Kurt. I think his YouTube channel is just Kurt, and yeah, he's a pretty chill guy. He's been genning for me a few weeks so far in the APA, so yeah, very cool dude, helping me out with genning my teams, and we're here facing him off against him in week 5, and he's got a pretty solid team. He's got Froakie, which is a really solid mon. It gets Protean, and then as you can see on screen, he has brought the Gothita, which is probably one of his most, I guess, powerful, or I guess one of his broken mons. I feel like most of the teams in the league have like one or two just like top tier mons, and I'd say Gothita is definitely one of his. You could make the argument for Froakie, but certainly Gothita places a lot of stress on team building. Yeah, Kurt's team basically centered around those two offensive juggernauts, and then he's got Parting Shot Meowth, and then he's got some pretty solid defense in like Tentacle plus Skidoo, but he's elected not to bring a grass type to this game. So yeah, Corpish really looks threatening here at matchup, although I haven't decided to bring it to this game. You see, I've brought the Budgie for the first time, so yeah, we're actually bringing a pretty interesting team this week. It's a Sash Lead Budgie, like a spike stacking variant. I've got like Toxic for a potential Carmine, Berry Juice, Recycle, Gothita that wants to come in on me, and I've got Leaf Storm and Sludge Bomb, so I'm just like very speedy, very offensive, and if I can get up some hazards, like Litleo is just going to go in this game. So the next one we have is Bronzor, just standard Recycle Rocks Bronzor, nothing too crazy about this set here, but certainly, yeah, it can check a few members of his team pretty well. Takes on the Froakie quite nicely with Recycle, and I do have Toxic on this as well to avoid being, bait for just Carmine Gothita. And then we have Meowth. Life Orb Meowth goes ham versus Kurt. His entire roster does not have a rock, like a normal resist, so yeah, normal spam here is fire. And I'm actually Adamant Meowth this week, so yeah, I could afford Adamant just based on his speed tiers. I obviously like his own Alolan Meowth could be like a speed boosting nature, but here I felt just because Fake Out plus Feint is so nice versus Kurt's team, that Adamant nature is really going to come in handy. So then we have a Weak Armor Volibee, just again a pretty offensive Volo here. I am Berry Juice on this set, so I can live a few hits, come in and proceed to just get that +2 Weak Armor boost and really threaten his team. I think I'm Berry Juice. I could be a Violet, one of the two. I think actually this wasn't a Violet set, but either way, yeah, same sort of deal. And then we have a Flame Charge Fire Normalium Z Litleo here. So like I mentioned, he's got no normal resists, so normal spam is going to be pretty nice, and Meowth can really soften up his team for this Litleo to potentially win in the late game. So lastly we have a Eviolite Spritzy, just a pretty standard defensive Spritzy here. I do have Skill Swap to ensure that he can't trap me with Gothita and just set up versus me. And if he does want to bring something like a Rest Talk, Carmine, Psyshock, Gothita, which would be able to 1v1 a Carmine Spritzy, although like that set would be walled by Volibee, he may choose to approach this game this way in order to remove Spritzy, which is one of my best defensive responses to a lot of his team. So that is my team. We're going to jump right into the game. I've talked for long enough, so as I jump in now, I just want to thank Tyler, Phantombass, for genning my team, and I want to thank Panther for recording my game this week. So yeah, definitely appreciate that one. So we're going to jump into it. Kurt is going to send the challenge, and he's going to lead off with his Swablu, which is a pretty interesting lead. I can't say I expected Swablu to lead off here, but because this thing does get defog and it does threaten Budgie with Flying type Stab, I am going to switch out here and just preserve the Sash on this, because he doesn't have any hazards of his own. If I can preserve Sash on Budgie, it might be really clutch in the late game versus something like Scarfed Protean Froakie. So now he's going to click the Heat Wave, and we chew that up. This is Berry Juice, this is not a Violet, I'm not heat proof, I'm Levitate, and we chew that up. So yeah, Bronzor is just putting in the finest of work as we get my rocks up here, and this is great. If he gets a similar roll, which he does, he gets 10. He actually, based on the calcs that I made during this game, he wasn't like invested, he was more of a defensive Swablu, and he was unable to get a roll that would 2 carry me right there. So he's going to get the same 10 damage roll on actually every single one of his Heat Waves. So yeah, he's not invested, and I'll be able to get my Recycle up, and now just fire off his Psychic just to gauge damage off on this Swablu and just determine that he is indeed a Violet. So He's going to hit me again with a Heat Wave, and we are going to get back down to 3 and recycle our Berry Juice once again. I think I do recycle the following turn, or maybe I fire for Toxic. Yeah, I fire for Toxic here, expecting him to switch out because it obviously wasn't working, and he's going to go into his Meowth. Unfortunately, I am going to miss this Toxic, which is pretty unfortunate, but yeah, it's Toxic, like it's Mons. Would have been nice to get that Toxic damage off on Meowth, but it's all good. I'm going to go Hideout into my Volibee here, as if he goes for Knockoff, he will proc my Weak Armor. But he does end up going for the Taunt, which is really nice because he, I guess, expected me to recycle there. And right here, I am going to be able to just click Knockoff with Volibee, as he's just going to go for the Parting Shot, wanting to get out of there. And I do have my Rocks up though, so this is nice. If he wants to bring in his removal, he's going to be forced to take that Rocks chip, but he's actually going to end up going hard out into his Tentacle here. So this thing is going to take a chunk from Brave Bird. I actually could Brave Bird here. I thought I clicked Knock there, but I guess I clicked Brave Bird because I want to chip off on a potentially fat Meowth for my Litleo in the late game. So this is amazing for me though. Like if this isn't a Violite Tentacle, which it is based on how well it took my hits, me getting this chip damage off is amazing for my Litleo sweeping in the late game. He's going to knock me off here and proc my Weak Armor. So Volibee is still at a nice amount of health. We've lost the Eviolite, but we're still at a pretty nice amount of health, and I will be able to 2-hit KO this Tentacle with the Brave Birds. Kurt really doesn't have any good Brave Bird switch-ins, so I totally understand why he left his Tentacle in here, and at this stage it wasn't, with its Eviolite knocked off and at that range of health, it wasn't checking Litleo anyway, so I can definitely understand that play. Now he's going to bring in his Lillipup here, and honestly I didn't really know what this thing does, but I'm just going to go out into my Iron Wall, the Bronzor, and if he is like Life Orb, I'm going to determine that here. He's going to hit me with this Return, and yeah, this, like, that may not look like a lot of damage, but that is still pretty strong. So right here, I'm going to double into my Spritzy, expecting him to go for the Crunch, as I will be able to chew that hit with Spritzy. Spritzy actually could take 2 Life Orb Returns. Spritzy is so fat, it's ridiculous. But I wanted to play it safe and not risk any crit, so I went hard into Bronzor and then doubled into Spritzy first. So he's now going to reveal Toxic, which is a nice bring for sure, because it definitely punishes my physical switch into this, as I am just going to fire for Wish, and what this Wish is going to allow me to do is just hit him with a Moonblast the next turn. If he wants to switch in anything on his team, he doesn't have a resist to Moonblast now, he will be taking huge damage from Spritzy, but he does choose to preserve health on Lillipup and just go out into his Gothita here, maybe expecting him to be able to trap me, as I am just going to fire for the Moonblast right here. And if this is a Berry Juice switch, it kind of has to be because his other 2 mons have already revealed to be a Violite. Then this is going to be interesting. So he has revealed to be Berry Juice. I've popped his Berry Juice. He could potentially be a Recycle. I want to feel out his Gothita set a bit before I go hard out into Volibee. And obviously I have to click Skill Swap first. So first turn he's going to go for the Substitute. I see Sub, that's interesting. And then I'm just going to fire off my Skill Swap here. So he could be Sub Calm Mind 2 attacks. He could be Sub Calm Mind Recycle Psyshock, in which case he's walled by Volibee, but he's trapped my Spritzy, or so he thinks. But now that I've Skill Swapped this Shadow Tag, I am going to go for the Calm Mind, just breaking his Sub, seeing how he wanted to play his Gothita at this point. Now that I'd revealed to have the Skill Swap, so he's going to go for the Calm Mind, even at +1, because he's not in a Violite set. My Moonblast will be able to break his Sub. And really the main thing with this Gothita is, like, even if I have to sacrifice Spritzy or Volibee, it's just making sure it doesn't have a sub up, so my Meowth can come in and blow it away with Fake Out or Double Edge, something like that. So yeah, this turn I am going to make the switch out into my Volibee, as he's actually going to end up firing off the Psyshock, I think, this turn, or he's going to get another Calm Mind up. No, he gets the second Calm Mind up. And because I chose to run like a more bulkier Volibee this week, I'm not creeping a I could have run a faster Volibee to creep this Gothita, but he ends up being a faster Gothita himself, which makes a lot of sense considering his Sub Calm Mind. He wants to be able to outspeed my defensive threats, and he's going to reveal the T-Bolt. So this is important. This means that I am going to be able to bring out Meowth here and pretty much claim a life, because his Gothita is going to drop to a Double Edge if it does choose to stay in. And yeah, my rocks are up. Nothing is going to live this Double Edge. So he's going to bring in his Swablu here. And I'm pretty sure this thing is a Violite. I'm pretty sure this thing is a Violite based on how it took that Psychic from Bronzor earlier in the game. And that boy is just going to drop to Meowth's Double Edge. And yeah, it's good to see top tier getting some kills. Meowth is such a steal in my opinion. And now he's going to bring in his Froakie. And just in case this thing is scarfed, I don't want to risk Meowth. It is a fantastic win condition for me, so I'm going to scout. I'm going to go hard out into my Spritzy here. And if he reveals U-turn or Surf or anything like that, it'll become apparent what kind of set he is, as he is just going to go for the U-turn. And that is going to bounce off. Kind of implying that he's not very much invested in physical attack. That's a stab U-turn. So yeah, I think he's more specially inclined, and the fact that he had U-turn kind of makes me feel like he is scarfed, and he hasn't revealed a scarfer at this stage, so that's important to keep in mind for the late game, as I am just going to start spamming Moonblast here as he reveals Psyshock. So he's not Recycle, which is really nice, and I don't have to worry about him Carmining up and recycling his Berry Juice. I will just be able to fire off a Moonblast to put him really in range of rocks, to be honest. I think this thing is now, yeah, at a point where it'll probably die to rocks. But he's just going to take me out the following Psyshock, and Spritzy definitely did its job. It definitely did its job, and it was able to weaken this Gothita in range of pretty much everything on my team. So right here, I am going to go Litleo. Litleo has the potential to win the game right here. If I go for Flame Charge this turn, and he doesn't send in Froakie the following turn, I don't have to risk a speed tie, and I can Flame Charge up once again. But if he does choose to send in Froakie, it really does just kind of confirm that he is more than likely Scarf Froakie, or he's just brought a really amazing bluff set here. But I'm not going to risk my Litleo dying to a Surf here. I do have a Budgie in the back, which naturally tanks Surf, even though I'm a Sash variant as opposed to a Violet variant. I'm going to chew up this Surf, so we're going to send out the pot. Nice Budgie, and he's going to go for Surf. It's a Tool nickname reference. I think most of you guys know by now. I name my mons mostly after Tool songs. So now he's going to go for the Surf, and we chew that up. The Budgie is fat. And right here, I think I'm going to fire off a Sludge Bomb here. And this Lillipup is going to come in here. And this boy's going to get a Sludge Bomb to the face. I think this thing just drops. Yeah. This thing just drops to a Sludge Bomb. So Budgie's pretty strong. Like, it's not weak. And I am max special attack. So that thing fell pretty quickly. And now he's going to bring in his Meowth. So right here, I'm going to go out into my... I think I sack off my Bronzor here. I want to preserve Budgie because I don't want to lose to crits from a scarfed Surf Froakie. So I'm going to go out to my Bronzor here. And like I have Life Orb Meowth in the back with Fake Out and Faint. So I was never really losing to Froakie. But I just want to play it as conservatively as possible in this late game. Like, I don't need to make any kind of... I don't need to play aggressively. I'm in a position where my win con is Meowth. And it can wrap this game up. So he's going to reveal the Black Hole Eclipse, and that is a really cool animation. It looks like some Dragon Ball Z type shit, but yeah, Bronzor is going to perish to that, as I'm now going to be able to bring in my Meowth, and this thing is certainly not a Violet, clearly, and it is not going to appreciate the Fake Out into a Faint. So yeah, Meowth, the superior Meowth, is going to fire off the Fake Out, and yeah, OG Meowth is going to click Faint here and take out his Alolan brother. But yeah, definitely props to Kurt for the really cool set. I think like bringing Z Dark on Meowth gives you the flexibility to run Z Parting Shot or like Z Knockoff or whatever dark coverage move you have. So yeah, I think it's a really cool set, definitely on his part. As he's now going to bring in the Froakie, and I'm going to go hard out into Budgie because I know I can actually live a Surf into another Surf, and that is what he's going to go for. He's going to go for the Surf, and yeah, Budgie's going to tank. Budgie's only going to take about 6 damage from that. So he got 6 on both turns he went for Surf versus Budgie. And we are going to take out this Froakie after we chew the next Surf with a Sludge Bomb. And that is going to be my week 5 game against Kurt. Definitely a fun game. I thought Kurt played this one really well. I genuinely think he played this game well. I know he's had a bit of a rough season, but a lot of that has been due to some real unlucky hacks in his games. I thought he played this one really well, and he brought a really good team. So yeah, definitely impressed with Kurt. I think he's far better than his record suggests. So that's gonna be my week 5 game. Definitely go check out Kurt's side of the match. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Drop a like if you did, and let me know in the comments what you thought of this week of the APA. So